I'm Farhan Dalla, transformational trainer, and welcome to Elevate Your Life, a transformational podcast, an invitation to take the journey towards your deepest self. It is my intention to inspire you to connect, move, and meditate. We'll tap in, tune in, and dive in, and together learn and reflect from authentic, real, and transformative conversations. Let's get started. Hi, everyone, and welcome back. My guest today is Nina Badelt. She is a writer, book ghostwriter, and transformational thinker, exploring the connection between inner identity and external reality. In 2022, as a single mother facing emotional and financial uncertainty, she encountered the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza, and what began as curiosity became a profound turning point in her life. Through deep inner work, meditation, 3 Dr. Joe retreat experiences, and a radical shift in self-perception, she experienced a complete transformation, including the manifestation of a deeply aligned relationship and a new life path. Her work today centers around one core idea: that the life we experience is always a reflection of the identity and inner story we embody. Hi, Nina. How are you today?
Hi, Farhan. I'm good. It's quite hot here in Germany, but I'm doing good. Hope you're good too.
I am. I just returned from a 10-day Dr. Joe retreat just 2 days ago. So I'm feeling all the, post Dr. Joe retreat emotions one could, expect to experience. And I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm still in the
Yes.
process of integrating. But at the same time, I did catch a little bit of what people call the Dr. Joe Dispenza influenza.
Mm.
Many people do report flu-like symptoms after they've gone through a process like that, and I've got a slight touch of it, so I apologize if my voice sounds a little nasal and I might be a bit congested, but I'm going to power through this because I really wanted to speak with you. I didn't want to reschedule, and I thought, I can do this. I can definitely do this.
We will do it together.
Yes. And, it's still keeping in line with the retreat and all the information that I learned. But I love talking to people who have experienced retreats so that we can share our experiences. But today I'm interested in yours. Predominantly, you know, it seems like 2022 was a very pivotal year for you. But let's start this conversation with what was happening pre 2022 and up to that time period before your first retreat. What was life like?
Oh, life was a huge struggle. My daily life was dominantly hard work, and I was a single mom, and my daughter has kind of special needs with her severe ADHD. So I struggled a lot taking care of her and also making a living for my family. I also had a little dog, and I always tried to make it somehow, but it was far away from pleasure, I would say. And um, there were a lot of things going on inside me for all my life up to then. I was struggling with feeling not worthy and feeling not good enough in general, I would say, and always trying to compensate that by working harder, doing more, and so on. I had a degree in economics, and I was like a usual worker at a huge company earlier, and like most of the people you get to know, I had a usual career, a normal career up to then.
It sounds like you are describing what people would say, and Dr. Joe describes as living in survival, right? And
Yes,
feels like in a
exactly.
state of fight or flight, with high level of stress, trying to make
Mm-hmm.
ends meet. You have a daughter with special needs. You have a job. Sounds like there were a lot of demands on you. And along with that, you're dealing with your own personal, struggles with self-worth and worthiness, which are common themes for a lot of people that do this work, including myself. So how did you learn about Dr. Joe, and how did you end up at your first retreat?
I know that some people I was kind of in the personal development space, but here in Germany, Dr. Joe is not as known as he is in the US, maybe, I think, and in other countries. So I discovered him like accidentally when someone gave me a book. I think it was, I don't know which one it was even, and I should read it, he said, and I tried to read it and it didn't tell me anything, so I didn't really read it till the end. I don't know. And other people told me I had to try a meditation, and I never wanted to do meditations because a lot of people saw that I was really stressed out and I needed to calm down. And some people said, you should try meditation. I was like, what is that? I don't have time for meditation. What is that? I can't even sit for a minute in my usual work day, so how can I meditate? And then there was a friend, and she wanted to go to the Basel retreat in 2022, the progressive retreat, and she really wanted to go, and she like couldn't manage to find anyone to go with her, and it was not a close friend, but we met like accidentally, and she told me, Nina, you want to go with me? I need someone who wants to go with me. And I said, like, I'm not really interested in Dr. Joe's work. Maybe I could have a look at it, and if it's a trip with you, why not? I didn't have anything to do that weekend because my daughter stayed at her dad's, and it was okay. The timing seemed to match, but it was also close to the event, like 2 weeks before, and all the tickets were sold out, of course. It was one of the little Europe retreats he does at all, so we didn't have much hope to get tickets and didn't have hope to get a room there because it was all booked. And we said something like, okay, I'm going to go with you, and if the universe really wants us to go, we will find tickets and we will find a room to an affordable price because I didn't have much money. And that's how we left it to the universe, and you wouldn't believe it, what happened. We were out for a drink when we did that, and we were in a town like near her hometown. I didn't know the town at all, and she not really. And we just walked along outside the bar, walked along the street, and there suddenly there was a sign appearing, like a glowing sign in the background, huge letters, and the word was universe.
Oh.
And I got chills, and it was just minutes after our conversation when we said we will leave it to the universe if we go.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, maybe we should give it a try.
Yeah, were you one of those people that look towards signs? I mean, I'm not sure how spiritual you were at that point, but you basically got a huge sign in that moment. What did you think? Like, how did you feel?
I mean, I couldn't overlook it. That was so clear. Nobody could deny that this was a sign because it was exactly the word, and it was exactly 5 minutes later or a few minutes later. And have you in Germany? It's not common to have this sign with universe like glowing letters. I've never seen that, never. So I was like, okay. And in general, I was in the personal development bubble, and I knew that there are things beyond what we can see. I'm quite spiritual, I would say, but I never trusted those things. I saw them, I knew them, I believed in them, but I had never thought that something like this would direct me towards any direction or change my life.
Mm-hmm. So before you went to the retreat, well, first of all, you obviously got tickets in the
Yes,
room,
and
right?
there were many
Yeah.
other stories that led us there. I can't even tell them all because we bought the ticket via Facebook, and there were like 8,000 people at the retreat, and we only knew her by her picture, her profile picture, and we transferred the tickets online, and we've never like met her in person. And the first person we met when we entered the ballroom there was like her.
The person you bought the tickets from?
Yes.
Wow.
Out of 8,000 people. So that's another point. But we got everything, and it was the price was quite good, and everything just clicked. So we ended up there. Yes.
Hmm. I mean, you were definitely in alignment. So, did you set any intentions before you went there? Like, what
Mm.
did you think about, like, what you wanted to get out of this?
Yes, I wanted to change my life. And I was single for about like 5 years, 4 or 5 years, I don't know, back then. And I I thought I would never find another good partner again for me and my daughter. And I really desired that. So I thought if I go, I should set an intention like that. I would love to find someone I can spend my life with.
Hmm. And so, did anything happen at that retreat to support that intention? And if so, what happened?
It did. I found out it's not so hard to meditate at all. I was sitting like in the midst of 8,000 people on a cheap chair, and I couldn't believe how quiet the room went when we all meditated. And it was the second day of the retreat when something like struck me out of the blue. It was like a lightning, or I can't really describe it, a huge burst of energy.
Hmm.
I was still kind of skeptical, but I tried it and I thought, okay, let's try that. And I had like, it was an experience I will never forget. My heart exploded in the meditation. And from that point on, I only felt love,
Hmm.
bliss and love. The, the greatest love I've ever felt in my life. And I have felt a lot of love, but this was an heart opening. I can't really find a word still for what happened there. And that feeling stayed with me.
Hmm. I've experienced that myself in a walking meditation at the Cancun retreat in November of 2025. And it just comes out of nowhere. And, the tears are flowing and your heart feels like it's just bursting out of your chest. And everywhere you look, you just feel this love for everyone. And it's love for people you know and people you don't know. It's just, there's no barriers between you and anyone. You see everyone for who they truly are. And there is no, um, you know, this barriers to sex, gender, whatever. Like you just feel this incredible love for everyone. So I can completely relate to that feeling. And so when you had this heart opening, or what Dr. Joe sometimes calls as a love attack, how did that transpire or eventually lead to what you call finding an aligned relationship? And I'm interested to dive into what you mean by aligned, but let's talk about the unfolding of that experience and how it led to, what you call an aligned relationship.
That feeling, I woke up the next morning and I thought, and I said to my friend who I went with, it's still there. So when will this stop, or will this ever stop? I liked it, but it was kind of overwhelming because I couldn't handle it somehow, but it was great and I loved it. But I thought something is like wrong with me, maybe. And I walked through my life and we went back home, and every day I got up and I checked, is it still there? And it was. And that went on for like a month. I think it's 6 weeks or 2 months at least. This feeling stayed with me. And I thought, will this ever stop? Or am I like this now? And what can I do with it? I was like, what do I do with this? And I remember Dr. Joe telling us, continue the work at home. And I had the fortune that I had time at that moment because I lost my job, had lost my job, and I had a lot of time. So I tried to immerse myself completely into the work. And because now I had the feeling, I knew this is going to do something. So I will do that. I continued and I meditated like hours per day, like 3 hours per day at least. And I always went into that state of being loved. It was love anyway. And I imagined a loving relationship, and like I will be treated, but it was like it is here now. So I really felt him, even if I didn't know who it was. I felt him beside me. I felt him going everywhere with me. It was like a dream. I'm living in a love dream. That was what it was.
Hmm.
And I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it.
Well, I'm glad that you had the space and the time to integrate, because that's where I'm at right now, is carrying that feeling. And you know how it is when you're in this bubble with Dr. Joe and you're with all these people who are like-minded and the energy is so high. And then we have to kind of sort of come back into the world that we left behind, but we come back as changed individuals. And the challenge is to not revert to our old selves, but to stay aligned in the new version of ourselves. And you had already started embodying yourself into the relationship that you desired, and feeling the feelings of what it would be like if he was here right now. And much of that I'm doing myself. So, how did that transpire to you meeting your now partner? What happened next?
um, I still can't believe what happened because I never believed that someone could just appear out of the blue that was a perfect match for me. Like someone I can do the work with, ideally. I really had that as a goal because I loved that work so much by then that I thought this is such a huge part of my life. I want to experience my partner that with me. There's no other way we can have a close and intimate and really, really open relationship. And I wanted someone who could get along with my daughter and is open and is also very educated and stuff. I had like my imagination knew exactly how this person is going to be. And there was someone that appeared out of the blue, like 3 months after. No, it was 2 months after the retreat.
Mm-hmm.
So shortly after that feeling ended, he just texted me and he said like, "How are you doing?" And it was my first boyfriend from high school when I was 16 years old.
Okay.
We had been together then, and we didn't have any contact since then, besides one class reunion that was in 2018, so four years earlier, where we had met and talked to each other and found each other really attractive. And he was in a long-term committed relationship back then. So we said, everything's cool, fine, nice to meet you, and that's it. And we never talked again for 4 years. And exactly that day, he texted me how I'm doing, and he wanted to meet. And I was like, what's that? And so we met. I mean, it was like 2 days later, and he told me he's not in a relationship anymore and that he had thought of me every day since we had met in 4 years earlier, and that he now really wanted to contact me and to see me because he felt drawn to me somehow.
Mm-hmm. Had you
And
thought about him at all over those
no,
4 years?
no, no,
Not at
no.
all.
And even in my imagination, I didn't have a picture of anyone. But
Uh-huh.
it happened, of course, that he exactly embodied most of the things I would wanted to have in a relationship. Not all of them, but like the character. I knew him. He had very great character and the looks, of course, and everything. And he was that guy I wanted,
Hmm.
obviously.
So, how did that first meeting go?
That went. It was strange and exciting. And he told me, "Are you single?" And I said, "Yes." Why? "Yeah, I'm single too, and I haven't stopped thinking about you like for 4 years now. And what about having dinner and stuff like that?" And I said, "Okay, okay." Um, and it was crazy. It was like I couldn't believe what was happening because it was also quick and also perfectly designed. So it
Uh-huh.
clicked. It clicked. He brought me a CD to the first dinner, a CD I had given him when we were 16.
Oh, he still had it.
Yes, and there were my written words inside. Like when I left him, when we were 16, I left him, and I had written from Guns N' Roses, "Don't Cry," the single CD, and I wrote, "Don't cry, I'll still be thinking about you," and everything. It was inside the CD, written by me, and he gave that to me, and it was like a dream come true.
Hmm. So did you start to feel an attraction at that point again?
Yes,
Like,
yes, I did.
wow. So at this point, how is your relationship starting to, you know, blossom? Like, what was the road like then as you started to reintroduce yourselves, and there's a new version of you as well, right? You've done this work, you're in a different frequency, and then you're setting the intention to meet this partner. He comes in. And so, how did things start to develop? And what was that relationship like at that point?
At first, everything was like a dream come true, so everything went perfect. And after a while, I found out that his life had taken a different path than mine. So, kind of similar, but he didn't have anything to do with spirituality or with personality development. He was just like what we would call unconscious, living unconsciously in his intellectual working expert life, and very traditionally raised with living on the outside more than on the inside. So, kind of having values like having money, having a car or whatever, and that he had gone a path with a lot of addictions. I found out alcohol, drugs, everything you can imagine. And I found out very slowly. And then he accidentally, in the end, he left me again after 3 months.
Wow. How
Because
did
I
that?
started to talk about the work and about
Right.
how I feel, and he was interested, but at the end, he was really like repelled by it.
Hmm. So he left you.
Yes.
Wow. And well, that was a huge part of what you wanted, right? A person that did this work. And he checked off a lot of boxes, but despite that, you were still willing to give him a chance to see where this relationship would go. And then after 3 months, he leaves you. So at this point, do you think mm, maybe he wasn't the one? Or, do you put yourself out there again? Like, what did you do in that moment? Because I think when you do this work, you develop a strong sense of belief and faith that everything is always working out for you. And I imagine after you drew this person to you, after you set that intention, that you might have felt maybe a little frustrated about, what had just transpired. So what did you do to stay in the work and stay focused on your intention?
At first, I was devastated, and I doubted the work, of course, in the beginning, and I was angry, but then I realized that he was not ready yet, and that he left me out of fear from what I had mirrored to him, because we talked about all that stuff that wasn't aligned with me, for example. And he also realized that he is on a path he doesn't really want to stay on, and he became very anxious. And I like felt that he didn't say that. I felt that because he didn't mention any reason why he left. So I was completely in the unknown.
Hmm.
And I decided after like 4 weeks or something, I decided the work brought me him, and this is what I wanted, and I'm not willing to give that up.
Hmm.
But I can't do anything, so I will go back to meditating a lot and staying in the feeling without having him in mind, but still the same feeling I had, like the loving relationship, the perfect match for me, and left it kind of open to who it's gonna be. But I knew it was gonna be him.
You did. Okay.
Yes.
So how did you get through this and how did you eventually get back together?
I didn't do anything. I cut contact because I wanted him to realize everything on his own. I didn't want to push him or anything. I wanted to relax. I really practiced being relaxed, staying in my truth, no matter what the outside showed me, because that's what I had done wrong for many, many years. And I had understood that. So I decided I'm going to stay calm, I'm going to relax, and I'm going to stay in the feeling. And
You
everything,
surrendered. You
yes,
surrendered
I
basically, right?
surrendered. I surrendered.
You totally
And what
surrendered.
happened? Basically, what happened? He just came back the same way he came the first time. So he rang me, and it was like how long did it take? 4 or 5 months again, and then
Four
without
or
any,
5 months. Okay.
yes, and then he called and he said, you know what? I think I've just made the biggest mistake of my life, and I was scared. And let's figure that out. Can you give me another chance? And I will change my life. I promise you.
Now, you could have given up on him and walked away, but you decided to give him another chance. Why?
Oh, that's a good question. I was not sure when he called me, and we had a lot of conversations, and I was unsure because I had completely let go of him, really.
Hmm.
So I was fine being without him, but only for a few days when he called. I had really managed to let go completely,
Right.
and uh, it was a feeling I can't describe. It was like I saw him, I heard him talking, and
Uh-huh. You
I
knew.
knew it makes perfect sense what he says and how he says it. And I knew he is gonna change his life for me and for him.
For himself too. Now,
Yes.
obviously during that period he had work to do. Did you feel that you may have some work to do as well that would have fostered a better alignment, so to speak, using your words?
Yes, of course, because
Mhm.
I realized that I had still doubted myself a lot, and not been living up to my real worth. So I still felt unworthy now and then, or not worthy enough, or not good enough, even for him, because I had really started doubting myself again when he left me. And it was like, am I not good enough? And all those little voices in your head, why? And
Right.
what am I doing wrong? And all that stuff. And I had work to do too, but I did that work when he was away, really every day, like worked on myself and on my self worth, my self esteem. I just built myself back up in that time. And I still had
Mhm.
work to do when he came back.
Was there any part of this journey when you were working on yourself that you weren't aware of that you needed to let go of? And I say this from an experience that I had during this retreat, and I'm not ready to share everything that happened, but during the 10 days, I had a trauma release that was unbeknownst to me, like at a very unconscious level. And I realized I was operating my relationships from this particular trauma that I didn't even know that I had. And so having released that now and it has been brought to my awareness in a very wow, it was a very physical release, emotional release. I can't even put into words, but um when it was released, I felt like a completely different person. Um, but again, I didn't know that I was carrying that trauma, and it impacted the way I was living my life with all my relationships, and has made me reevaluate. Because you could do this work, and you could be aware of your self worth, your self esteem. You could be aware of where you have a conscious awareness of some of your issues, but there could be some unconscious issues as well. So, did anything like that come to the surface while you were doing your inner work?
Yes, of course. I thought a lot about myself in my previous relationships and in every area of my life. When you meditate that much and that deeply, you find a lot of things coming up to the surface. You can't really grab them or like
Mm.
give names to them, but I felt shifting. I felt something completely shifting inside myself. It was like I had tried to attract the perfect partner for many, many years. And the moment I had stopped to try, he appeared for the first time. And I proved it to myself another time that that's the way it works, because I did the same and he came back. Even if it seemed completely unrealistic that he would come back, there was no way he would come back in our 3D world. So it was not logical at all. And I learned, that was one of the biggest lessons. I learned that the way as we know it, the world is not like that. It's different.
So the idea that you didn't have to chase what you were looking for and
Right.
just be the person who you wanted to be, and then just draw that person into you.
Even if nobody's watching, he couldn't see anything I did, or he couldn't. Just under the radar, he might have felt me. I think he will have.
Yeah. So who do you think you became? We talked about who you had to let go of. Who do you think you became in order to manifest this partner? Because Dr. Joe says, in order for us to create a life, we need to believe, behave, and become what it is that we want or desire. So who do you think you became?
It's written right there. Believe, behave,
Behave.
become.
You literally tattooed it on your arm.
And it's not only me who has tattooed it.
Okay.
It's a partner tattoo.
It's a partner tattoo. Oh, that's fantastic. Okay.
Because that's what brought us together.
That's what brought you together.
Yeah. So I had to become the person who knows that everything's going to work out in perfect alignment to what you want, so that life supports you always. And I was not a person like that at all. I was always like controlling everything, my relationships, my work, everything. And I really managed to give that up and became a person who trusts. That was the biggest shift, I think.
Yeah. It's the trust, surrender, and believe, right? Wow. Okay. So, how would you define what it is to be in an aligned relationship? Because you mentioned that specifically, that what you attracted was an aligned relationship. What is an aligned relationship? How would you define that?
For me, it's like you understand each other without talking much, like seeing the same things, feeling the same things, and knowing the same things. It's like a connection you cannot measure, but you know it's there, and it can never be broken, because it was never. We had no contact for about 23 years, and it was never broken, and still it never broke. It's a connection, like quantum entanglement, how you want to call it. It's just no matter the distance.
Word.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to use that, a quantum entanglement, because Dr. Joe had us do these exercises where we did meditations and walking meditations to entangle to our future self, and to be entangled in a way in which that future self and our present self is already one. And so I love how you phrase the quantum entanglement part, because in the quantum, we're all entangled already. It's about how do we materialize that into the 3D. And the way that I learned that in this retreat was to entangle with that future feeling as though it's already happening right now, which is exactly what you did. And I love that. And I guess, how is that different, say, from a non-aligned relationship?
In a non-aligned relationship, you have to explain yourself a lot and to each other, and you have to discuss many things. We also discuss things, but on a different level. You discuss things on a 3D level, but if it's aligned, you don't have to do that. You discuss it on the deep soul level, and you like slightly adjust to one another. So it's a dynamic, but it's not like a fight. It's more like a flow when you like get closer to each other or sometimes pull away a bit, but that's a natural dynamic and it's not forced and it's not like designed or anything. It's natural. It's there and it can't be broken and it ebbs and flows, but it will always be there. That's the underlying thing.
And what I'm hearing you say is that you approach your conversations from a higher conscious level. And so you've known this person since you were 16 for the most part, and you start this work and you are fully aware of what it means to be from a higher conscious perspective, because that's how you're starting to approach your life. And now you're having these conversations when you met him initially, and it wasn't necessarily at that level because he wasn't doing that work. So, how did that dynamic in your relationship shift when he started to do the work and you were able to have these conversations at that level that you're describing in an aligned relationship versus one that isn't? Like, that must have been a huge shift.
Yeah, it was not easy, not for him and not for me, because he was courageous enough to face his own inner demons, and at the same time, I faced mine because we mirrored each other perfectly. I saw things in him, and he saw things in me, and we wanted this relationship so much that we knew if we want this, we will have to be another person for the other person. And we wanted it. We wanted to change. We wanted to be a different person. And it was not easy. There were fights. There were things on the 3D level in the beginning still, because if one person, and that I see that have happened very often, if one person is into the work and the other one isn't, it's like a dragging sometimes. It's like, I have to show you. You overwhelm them with all these new knowings you have and all those, I don't know, like you can't even describe some things, and people look at you like, what are you talking about? And I don't want to do that. And it was the same. It was exactly the same. And it took us, I would say, 2 years at least to get to this level, to this alignment. I would say we have now. So this all is 4 years ago now. And we have bought our dream house. We live in our dream house today, and we have a patchwork family. Each one of us has children already, and it was kind of hard work, but there was something underneath it that made this work easier for both of us, as if one of us would have done it on our own. So that's the perfect situation where you can do the work as a couple or together. And I had to like make him curious of the work, give him insights, and it was just tiny little pieces at the beginning because he was so afraid. He even had run away because he saw what's happening with me. So it was piece by piece, bit by bit, and we were at one retreat after 1.5 years. I managed to get into the first Dr. Joe retreat, and it was hard for him to overcome his personality that didn't believe in stuff like that. But I was the same in 2022. So I told him my story, and he just continued my story. You have to go into or through the river of change. That's what you have to do.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like he was at least curious enough, like you, to get there and to take the first step.
Yes. And he
Okay.
was very courageous. Really, he was so courageous. He, like on the outside, he got help with the addiction stuff and everything. And he was really like at a turning point. And I mirrored him so well, seemingly, that he acknowledged that this is the turning point and managed to do the work for himself.
Yeah. I often wonder when I meet married people at the retreats, and one of the partners there and the other one isn't or isn't into that
Mm,
work, and what life is like when you come back home, because it is so transformative. And you can imagine, even at a 10-day retreat, like after the first day, I changed so much that, after 10 days of, all this transformation, releasing trauma and all the things that I experienced just on an individual level, if I had to come home to a partner that didn't do this work, I don't know what my integration would be like. I think there's some couples that I met who are part of a couple, said that they have a very loving partner who supports them fully and allows them to ex- um, you know this allows them the space to develop as much as they want, and it's reciprocated in a way in which when they come back home, that it's received knowing that that was the intention why they went. And so it was a beautiful space to integrate. And then there were others that maybe had some challenges in the marriage,
yeah.
came home, and some realizations took place where um things kind of ended. So I always am curious, but I think for me personally, much like you, I would love a partner who does this work, because there is a commitment, right? There is time to meditate and to dedicate towards this work, whether you're reading the books, watching YouTube, whatever. And everything that you absorb, you read, you meditate, can be transforming, you know, in so many ways. And so to share that journey with someone would be ideal, at least for me as well. Yeah.
Yes, it is. It is. And I meet those couples too, or those parts of a couple. And I know that it's very, very hard if you have someone by your side that's not interested in that work or that even judges what you do.
Hmm. So, do you think everyone has a soulmate?
Oh, that's a huge question. I think I think everyone has several soulmates or potential soulmates, and you can just find yours at the right time. And that's not only one, but there are a few, I would say. Yes,
So,
but not too many.
well, I guess you could have lots of soulmates, but I think maybe my question is, do you think everyone has a life mate and someone that they have, that person that they share this journey with, and experience the greatest depths of all life has to offer?
Yes, because the perfect way to find yourself is in a loving and aligned relationship. And the universe or whoever wants us to be that version. So it will help us by sending those people to us.
Right. I love how you have merged your families now and are living in your dream home. And while I was in Cancun, and even at the November retreat, in addition to the one in June, I saw a lot of families with their children together at the retreat, which I thought was so beautiful. Like parents with kids who were doing the meditations, like some as young as 10 or 11. Um, and so I'm curious, do you teach your kids this work? Do you teach them to meditate, or how do you integrate or pass on this work to your children?
Well, I met with my daughter before we met. I did that kind of being grateful a lot, or like reflecting on life, spending time in nature. After I had gone into the personal development space, that was kind of part of our lives. But after getting to know Dr. Joe's work, I meditated so much that she saw that. She was with me all the time, and she saw that, and she like witnessed how I changed. But I don't know. She wouldn't be able to describe it. I think she was in 2022. She was 10. Now she's 13, 14 this year, and she she couldn't like pinpoint what happened, but she saw me changing. I'm sure she felt that I changed completely, And she's curious, and she sometimes asks me things, and I explain it to her. And she, every day we meditate. Every day our children see that they can join us. We invite them, but by now they haven't. So maybe she tried it once, but I wouldn't force it up on them, because um, I see that there is curiosity, and that's enough for the moment. And I know that they will try that and they will join the work. I would love them to join the work.
Right. Well, it sounds like you're modeling to them what is possible, right? She not only saw the change, but not in just in you as probably as a mom and a human being, but how that changed your life, in your relationships, and as well as this new path that you created. So let's talk about that. What is the work that you do today, and how was that inspired by doing Dr. Joe's work?
So, like I said, I was fired before I went to the first retreat. So, I had a lot of time and space to contemplate everything, not only my love life, but also my job. I hated my job, so I was sad, kind of devastated that I couldn't earn the money I needed, but I wasn't sad about the job itself. So, I knew I won't go back to anything like that, like a corporate job. And I knew I have to do something differently, and it was completely up to the unknown what it's going to be. I just knew I want to be creative. I want to write, because I'm a writer for all my life. And I had books out already, traditionally published books, and I knew that's what I'm going to do. And also, I was so inspired by the work and by like helping my boyfriend change that I saw, like, he was the perfect example how I can inspire people by this work. And so I decided I want to help more people. And they were all my friends. And you know how that is. I think that you inspire a lot of people because they see what's going on in your life and they say, I want that. What do I have to do? And some of them are really open to follow. Some are not. Most of them are not. But I decided I want to teach that. I want to be a coach, and I combined it with neuroscience. So it is neuroscience, but also with mindset coaching. And I developed my own method. And I saw all my female friends like, oh, I want that kind of partner. How did you do that? And I thought, okay, so let's just tell them what I know and show them what I do, and let's help them find their perfect soulmate too.
Wow. And so it's just women that you work with?
Oh, yes, it happened to be. Yes, because maybe I can relate uh, to their thinking, or I don't know, better. Yeah. No men tried to contact me about this work.
Right. Okay. Well, you might be hearing from me. I'm just
Yes!
well, well, I mean, I'm still processing everything I went through this week because I'm on the journey to attracting that soulmate myself. And wow, like the things that happened this week are crazy. And I'll share that in maybe a special episode where,
I will have to know that. You have to tell me.
yeah. I think I'm just not ready to share everything yet because I'm still in like processing everything that happened. But for someone who may be stuck in old patterns. And I was, and I didn't even know, to be honest. Like I didn't even know I had a pattern as far as my previous relationships that came to my realization at this retreat. But for someone who knows what some old patterns that they're stuck in, where would you tell them to begin if they really wanted to experience the aligned relationship that you talk about and having that a life partner and something beyond just the type of relationships that they've been in.
The first thing I noticed, and I noticed that I did that too, is that when you ask people how's your ideal partner gonna be, like really gonna be, like character, habits, thoughts, like values, uh, they don't really have an answer most of the time. So I would start by telling them, define very, very clearly what you want. And that is not easy because you have to allow yourself to dream that big, to like open your mind for that something like this even exists. And you need those little sparks of miracle, because I experienced some little miracles in that journey that told me, okay, that's the part. There are going to be more miracles. You need that to fuel your belief. That's what Dr. Joe always says. You need some miracles to believe in the next miracle and bigger miracles, like collecting the proof, kind of proof that you're on the right path. And I would suggest define what you want and collect the proof that this is possible, like even tiny little things. For example, someone smiling at you outside, or I don't know, hearing a song that reminds you of someone you really love, or I don't know, those little things. Look for them and stay in the feeling how you want to feel when you have this person, because that's something we don't do. And that's what I did when I immersed in the meditation work. I really took time and space. That's also hard for most of us, to take the time and the space. Even if I miss out on my sports course or my dinner with friends, no, take the time to be still, to go inside and get clear on those things and get clear on the feeling you want to have. That's the most important thing to start.
Yeah, and I think on the part of the feeling, a little, sort of practice that I started is I set a notification on my phone to go off every hour. And when it goes off, I think of something I'm grateful for, and I feel the feeling of my future as though it is here now. So the reason why I do that also is that notification can go off at any point, at any time. I could be driving, I could be at work, and then, if I don't have time in that moment because I'm with a patient or whatever, I come back to it. And I try to do it as hourly as possible and consistently, so I stay in the feeling. So I'm not necessarily creating extra time, though I'm doing that too, to sit in the space and feeling the feelings of my future, including in my meditations, but just in my everyday life. And that notification could go off when I'm cooking or I'm in the shower. And if it's a partner, well, how would that feel if I was in that moment right now when that notification goes off? And just take 10 seconds and connect to that feeling. It doesn't have to be hard work. But if you do it consistently, as you did, the results are you could be now living with your partner in a blended family in your dream home. And so if you can do it, anyone else can too. Isn't that
Of
true?
course, and I help my clients do that too. So I brought women in a committed relationship that hadn't been for years, and they doubted love, and they never would have believed that they find someone again in their 50s, for example, and it works. So I have many happy couples now.
Great. So you have a great track record too. That's awesome. What else have you created since doing this work besides, a new career path and a partner? Is there anything else you want to share that you've created?
Oh, health, of course. So I have no health issues at all. And he healed some stuff, like an operation he should have on his shoulder. He should have an operation. And they told him you won't be able to play handball again without that operation, surgery. And we just meditated that away. And the same for my allergies. It's gone. And our dog was severely ill. He had like a protein loss syndrome, and he was like almost dying, and he had to take steroids all the time, and he was in hospital, dog hospital, several times a month, and they told us she will never be healthy again. She will have to take the meds for all her life. She's only 4 years old, and wouldn't be allowed to eat anything again besides her dry dog food. And we managed to meditate that away with our dog, for example. She was lying beside us all the time when we meditated. She always does that, and it's gone. So There are
That,
so many things. I can't even remember all of them. I can't tell you.
yeah,
I don't know how to describe that. You don't even recognize the miracles anymore when you're so used to them,
right.
I think.
Yeah.
And we had, for example, we had a butterfly. You know, butterflies don't really usually sit on people.
Mhm.
But we had a butterfly sitting on me, him, all the time. And it went for hours. I can tell you, for hours. This butterfly
Uh-huh.
stayed with us. And at the same place, 1 year later, the same butterfly, maybe it was the child of this one, returned and also was sitting on us all the time for hours. It's like miracles you would never believe.
Oh,
Never.
geez. I mean, we could have a completely separate episode on all the other stuff.
Yes. Let's make a miracle episode.
Yeah, episode on miracles. I mean, I feel like every episode is about miracles in so many ways, but I love the fact that they're natural. That that's just a part of life. Like it's not something beyond expectation or something that seems so uh, impossible, but actually is possible and actually is natural. So I love that. Um, to kind of wrap things up, how would you describe the new version of yourself versus the old version pre 2022? What are the main differences in who you are now versus who you were before?
It's quite huge. I very seldom reflect on that in that time frame. I'm completely different. I trust. That's the most important difference. I trust in love. I trust in life. I trust in myself. I trust in my abilities. I trust in miracles. I believe in miracles. And I I'm not so much on the outside anymore. It's not so relevant which job. I mean, I follow my passion in my job life, but it's not the thing I define myself from. So I could do anything. I also write books, and I'm a passionate writer. I write books for like um, leadership coaches or coaches like us, or like people who want to tell the world something. And no matter which part of work I'm doing, I'm always following my passion. And I never did that before 2022.
Hmm.
I didn't even know I knew what my passion was, but I didn't know how it feels. And I follow the joy, I follow the bliss, and I'm not so much in the need to control everything. Okay, it happens now and then, of course. You always fall back now and then, especially when the retreat is long ago. I'm looking
Hmm.
forward to my next retreat too, because
Yeah,
it's always such a huge energy push, and it always gives you another leap. That's
right.
what will happen for you too, I'm sure.
Yeah,
And okay, we are not perfect. Nobody is, and I also have things to work on still, and it will never end, I think. But I'm
right.
completely the the gradient. I trust life and circumstances is that's such a huge difference from
Mm.
now to then back then.
I mean, it's night and day when you think about it from living from the process of or the space of being in um, survival mode versus a conscious creator and being in a space of trust. It's night and day.
Yes.
And you don't necessarily have to go to a Dr. Joe retreat to experience all this. You can definitely do the work, read the books, and watch some of the information online. His progressive course is a great place to start if you're looking for where to begin doing this work. For myself, I will be back in another retreat, especially after what I've experienced. This last one, my God, it was so transformative. And like you said, you can grow in leaps when you attend. There is so much expansion um, and a greater degree of awareness. And I think that if I hadn't gone, I wouldn't have realized some of the patterns that I was stuck in. because they were so deeply rooted at an unconscious level. I had no idea. And now that that's brought to the surface, I'm really curious as to what else is there to come through. But I do want to thank you so much for sharing your story. It is so inspiring to follow your journey and see where you were to where you are now. It's an incredible story of transformation, and not just in the area of love, but also in career and in finding more meaning in your life and the passion that you're experiencing, that and also knowing that it is possible to live every day passionately. um, you've reinforced what it means to be in a state of surrender versus control, to be in a place of trust.
And it's
And
so much more relaxing.
it's so much more
You're not so
relaxing.
exhausted anymore.
Yeah. And just that the impact you had on others in your life, whether it's your daughter, your partner, and now this blended family, and you're transforming lives with every client that you work with every person that you speak and share your journey with, and with everyone that has taken the time to listen today, has taken the time to listen to this episode today. So I thank you so much for that.
Thank you for inviting me. And I hope to meet you at another retreat, maybe. My
Yeah,
next one will be Copenhagen. So the Europe retreat this year. Yes. And another thing I want to mention, you meet so many beautiful people at those retreats. I also made a lot of friends, of course,
absolutely.
on
One
that
of the
one.
intentions that I set for myself this retreat was that I wanted to meet more men that do this work. I've certainly met a lot of women, and that's great, but there are a lot of men. And I just set that intention, and I made connections with about 4 men who do this work, who, are that I can talk to about guy stuff with, as well as the impact of this work that we're doing. So whether it's love or friendship, career, whatever it is that you're looking for, to be able to experience it with like-minded people, a retreat is definitely an opportunity and a space for that. So I encourage you to check out the next retreat.
Yes. Thank you very much, Farhan, for taking the time today and inviting me. And I hope we can inspire many people with this episode.
I think we have, and I will have your contact information if anyone's interested in working with you or reading some of your books. I will have links to your Instagram and Facebook in the description, so look out for that. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you again soon.
I'm Farhan Dalla. Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's episode of Elevate Your Life, a transformational podcast. I hope today's conversation has elevated you in some way and inspired you to connect, move, and meditate. I'd really appreciate your support by following and rating this podcast. Come back soon and join me for another transformative conversation.